Go Jackets.
What is going on, everyone, and welcome to WreckTalk. We're getting closer and closer to this game in Oxford, and I don't think this is going to be a short video, guys. Buckle yourselves up, because we got a lot to talk about. So first we'll talk about kind of just generally circumstances surrounding the game, what's been said, injuries on our front, injuries on their front, and then, we're going to break down a good bit of film. We're going to look at what does Ole Miss like to do offensively, defensively, same with Georgia Tech. So with that being said, anytime I do film breakdowns of I've got video of them, the video is going to get demonetized. So if you'd like to help out and support the channel to keep bringing you some good college football knowledge, I'm probably arrogant in thinking I got more college football knowledge than anyone who does college football. Help support me bring you more content like that. There's a PayPal and a CashApp link in the description. You can always become a member. There's a join button below the title of the video, and there is a link for it in the description of the video. There's lots of stuff in the description of the video people never look at. There's also, if you'd like to join the Discord, there's a link for that as well. And if you want to join the WreckTalk Pickem contest, also found in the description. So, a big game for Georgia Tech. Interesting thing is it's not near as big of a game for Ole Miss. The line on this game is 20, which means that Vegas thinks that Ole Miss is going to beat us by 20, which is a lot of points to cover for Ole Miss. People not giving Georgia Tech much credit or much respect in this game. Most people think this is going to be a blowout. And even if Ole Miss wins this game, a lot of people think they will, if they don't win it convincingly, they're probably not going to be happy with that. Now, on the Tech front, this is huge. You know, we dropped to Louisville, so we've got to find a way to either beat them or Wake Forest. And it will probably irritate Ole Miss fans, and I get it, and I would feel the same way. And probably Georgia Tech fans will think I'm crazy for saying this. Part of me is more worried about Wake Forest than I am Ole Miss. Ole Miss, looking at their film, has some problems, and not just on defense. I think most people would say, well, they can be suspect on defense. They've got some offensive problems as well. So we're going to look into that. On the Tech front of things, great news. Eddie Kelly is 100%. You know, he went down, had to be helped off the field by multiple people. Key says he's going to be 100% ready to go. Chase Lane won't play, but Key didn't act like he would be out for that long. So luckily we're fairly deep in the wide receiver room. We got a lot of talent at wide receiver, so we should be good there. And I'm sure you guys have seen that Lane Kiffin saying, asked about working with Brent Key at Alabama, and Lane Kiffin said, yeah, I actually tried to hire Brent Key. Brent Key's a really good coach. He's a really good offensive line coach, which I think speaks to the respect Brent Key has in collegiate coaching circles. Now, Ole Miss does have some injuries. We talked to Trent on the Georgia Tech Live show. He's an Ole Miss content creator. Really cool dude. Hopefully I'll get to see him when I go to Oxford. But according to him, it could be that their top two wide receivers are out and they have a lineman out. Now, they've already felt it on the offensive lines. Best player on Ole Miss team is their running back. He's fantastic. Brent Key even said he might be the best running back in the country. Really talented player. Has struggled. Hasn't really lived up to expectations. Teams have been able to stop the run on Ole Miss, and I think that's because they're still trying to figure out some pieces on the offensive line. And if they're without their top two wide receivers, that could be a problem for Ole Miss. I listened to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, and the guy was actually really reasonable. I'll link that in the description of the video as well. Go check out his video. He basically said this is the biggest trap game he's ever seen for Ole Miss. Ole Miss beat us 42-0 last year. One of the most embarrassing losses. Well, I would say one of the most embarrassing losses in Tech history. We suffered many under Collins. But probably the lowest I've ever felt as a Tech fan after that game. Then Alabama gets beat by Texas last week. So now all of a sudden, Alabama looks like a far more winnable game for Ole Miss, and they've got LSU after that. So Ole Miss plays Alabama after Tech on the road, then they come back home and play LSU. And I would love it if Ole Miss is overlooking Tech, committing some practice time to prepping for Alabama this week. That would be great. Now, we've talked about no one's giving Tech a lot, really any faith going into this. And I think a 20-point spread is way too many points to give Tech for Ole Miss to cover. They did beat Tulane, Ole Miss did, but they were down 17-3. Went on a 30-3 or 30-0 run or something like that in the second half. So they made adjustments and came out well. But Tulane was able to do some things against them that we're going to look at in film. And the guy from the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, credit to him, I think he correctly stated Georgia Tech's a more talented team than Tulane. Now, people might think that's crazy too. Tulane's ranked. I'm telling you, Georgia Tech's more talented than Tulane. They certainly have a better offense. Tulane didn't even have their starting quarterback last week, and the backup was able to make some big-time throws against this Ole Miss defense. So let's look at some film. Let me get my visor on. Coach WreckTalk here. Let's break down some film. So one thing I noticed, and if you can't see it behind me, where's the ball? Where's the ball going here? All these plays are going to look similar up to the ball being snapped and even a second or two afterward. They all look the same, and it's really, as far as our offense is concerned, like a pitcher that doesn't tip his pitches. At this point when the ball is coming out of the pitcher's hand, it looks exactly the same, except one ends up being a slider, one's a fastball, one's a changeup, and the ball ends up in three wildly different places over the plate. So let's check this out, and I'll focus on one of them at a time. So we'll look in the top right. Now notice all three of these look exactly the same, right? They're in slightly different formations. Look the same up to this point, except on the right, they do a play action fake and then end up swinging it out to the wide receiver they had in motion for a nice completion. So there's one. Let's go back. Now I'll look at the top left. Again, wide receiver coming out in motion, except they end up handing the ball off. And look, to Tulane's credit, Tulane was able to shut down Judkins for most of the game. This is a talented running back to get down in the backfield here. So to Tulane's credit, they did a good job. Let me go back. We'll look at the bottom left now. Now, here I'm thinking there's no way it's going to this guy, right? I mean, they definitely could snap it before he got there and pitch it to him. They don't end up doing that. But the ball is going to him. He comes back, pitch it to him quick. And Tulane actually makes a nice play there. They get down on it. They play good assignment football. And that's something Georgia Tech's going to have to do. I know Key, or it wasn't Key, one of the player interviews was talking about South Carolina State had not run a lot of option in film, and they just kind of saw that worked and went with it. So Tech hadn't necessarily practiced that a whole lot. Now, is that an excuse? No. But, and you know, I'm sure y'all guys saw my video reacting to Tantor. I don't think it's the end of the world either. I don't think Ole Miss is going to come out and do something wildly different than they've ever done. So we're looking at the bottom left here. Comes back out. So you get the point. We are going to really have to be disciplined on defense. I really like what Ole Miss does on offense. I like basically having multiple outs without having to audible. It's a nice scheme they run. They also like to run a lot of RPOs. The interesting thing is, offensively, it really, as a team, as far as weaknesses and strengths, Georgia Tech and Ole Miss are very similar. Georgia Tech offensively likes to run a lot of RPOs. They both have talented running backs. Obviously, ours is not as talented as theirs, but it's a strength of our offense. And defensively, we're prone to getting burnt on some plays. So let's take a look here. Now, what do we have here? This is in their opener against Mercer, which there was definitely some interesting plays. And here's an RPO. And here's what's tough about playing RPOs as a defense, and particularly at linebacker. So before RPOs were super prevalent, you used to, at linebacker, could really look at what I call a triangle here: guard, center, guard. These three players here. And as soon as the ball was snapped, really according to the first step of the guards, you could tell if it was a pass or a run. So if you saw one of these guards pull, take a step back, and turn, you knew it was a run play. You could get downhill on it. You didn't have to worry about any coverage. And if they took, a step straight back for pass protection, obviously, it's going to be a pass. Not the case here, though, with the RPOs. So they'll pull the guard for the running portion of the run-pass option. Obviously, running back's going to come down. And then they run basically two curls on the backside, and then they get straight upfield on a fly on the outside. So he's manned up here. Now, pre-snap, we haven't talked about Jackson Dart yet. Really good quarterback. Is he the best quarterback in the SEC? You could definitely make an argument for that. And a guy that's very similar to Haynes King, a guy that can definitely run the football. He has good speed, and he has good arm strength, and makes good decisions, A lot of good quarterbacks are going to want to come play for Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin is one of the best offensive minds in the country. I mean, Lane Kiffin got to Alabama and changed how they played football and offense, and it hadn't been the same since. So we definitely going to have to play him well on defense. But Mercer's in like a cover one look. I think they're manned up on outside. They're just playing off down here. So this single safety high is going to bail. And they're in like a nickel. So they got 4 down, 2 linebackers, and then 2 DBs here. He's going to come down, and I'm sure pre-snap Dart sees, hey, I got man coverage here. I'm not handing the ball off unless I just see a wide open lane, and I'm going to take a shot on the outside, which is what he ends up doing. So, boom, here, pulls, and this play should have been called back. This is 100% a hold here. He grabs the – this guy gets beat. Here's what I'm seeing, like on Louisville's offensive line, they got some problems. Look at this tackle. He just gets flat out beat. And because he gets beat, he grabs his jersey. Look at this. You see that? Let's go back again. Yeah, that's – how does this guy miss that? I don't know what different officials – I guess that's not his responsibility, but someone should have called that. Anyways, they get the ball on the outside. Not horrible coverage on the corner. Wide receiver just makes a really good play on the ball. Look familiar? Like I said, these offenses like to do similar things. I even saw, and we're going to look at it, Ole Miss likes to run that little – people are calling it a screen. It's not a screen, though. They like to throw that quick hitch to the outside that we had trouble blocking early on. But first, let's look at this is exactly the play I'm talking about. So what we're going to do is I think this is Dylan Leonard. We're going to put him in motion. He's going to come out and crack the corner. So his blocking responsibility is going to be this corner. I think this is Dominique Blaylock. His responsibility is going to be whoever comes in right here, which is going to be the safety. And we're going to take the snap and get it out quick to Malik Rutherford. Now, I was critical of this, and I know a lot of people were saying, well, why don't we keep running this if it doesn't work? And it's kind of like in chess. A lot of people who are really horrible at chess, like me, we just say, I'm going to move and do my plan of attack. And we never sit back and think, well, what is my opponent going to do? If I make this move, what's my opponent's response going to be? Like, he's not just going to let that happen. So what is Georgia Tech going to want to do offensively? We're going to want to run the ball. It's the same thing that Ole Miss is going to do. They're going to want to come out and get the ball in their best player's hands, which is Judkins. So the defense isn't just going to let you run all over them, though. I mean, look at all these people Louisville, when we played them, had in the box. There's 8 people in the box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they end up in like a cover 1 look. Here we go. This guy comes down, makes you think they're manned up. This is a nice thing about motion. You know, if you have someone following the guy, it really tips that they're in man coverage. And tight end makes a really good block. And in general, our tight ends have blocked very, very well this year. But Dominique Blaylock absolutely whiffs. Absolutely whiffs. But I don't have a problem with this play call. If they're going to commit all of these people in the box, then yeah, let's get it on the outside. I mean, if we can make this block and he can make a man miss, look at all this open field up here. I get why we do this a lot now, but we do whiff on the block and get tackled behind the line of scrimmage. That's got to be better for Georgia Tech coming into this game, because we are going to have they are going to stack the box on us. They are going to say, you're going to have to beat us through the air. And I think we can, by the way. I think Haynes King is capable of throwing on this defense. Now, let's see Ole Miss run the same play. Obviously, they run it out of a slightly different formation. But in both cases, we both end up basically with trips on the wide side of the field. And I think they get a nice completion here. They're not going to cross block. Basically, this guy's going to come up. This is his responsibility blocking. He's going to come up and block this guy. And they're going to get it out quick. Boom. They pick it up and block it nice and get a pretty good, almost get a first down off of it. So, like I said, similar things that these teams like to do on offense. For all intents and purposes, this is the exact same play. And I think Georgia Tech's game plan on defense, I'm going to have some keys to victory on here. We're going to have to do the same thing. Georgia Tech's going to need to stack the box, stop the run, and win man-on-man matchups. We're both going to have the same game plan on defense, I'm almost sure. All right. So here we talked about Ole Miss likes to run RPOs. Georgia Tech likes to run RPOs. Here's us against Louisville. Now, instead of motioning this wide receiver in front, we actually bubble him out, which I kind of prefer. Obviously, you could hand it off here. We've tried this with Christian Leary, and we haven't blocked it very well. Not much has come of it. I like getting him behind because it allows him to get downfield and a little bit more momentum going forward to make a play. I put a question mark here. I'm not really sure what route he's running. As soon as the ball snapped, he kind of like feathers here and looks back at the quarterback. But we're running a post with Blaylock, kind of this bubble flat route with, I think, Malik Rutherford. And then it's basically a read option here. So we could either give it, I'm not sure if this is Smith or Cooley. I think it's Smith. We'll see. Or Haynes King can pull it. So they show cover 2. Again, they had 2 safeties high. And this is what we're talking about, the chess match of that is football. This is why this is the greatest sport on the planet. Now, right before the snap, they bring a safety down, roll the other safety up. So showing cover 1. And because we don't, this is an imbalanced set. So because we don't have a wide receiver on this side, there's no need for this corner to just stand out here and guard nothing. He's going to skinny up and close the gap. So again, yep, now they've got 8 in the box, and they're showing cover 1. Here's the first read. Defensive end kind of comes up, so we're going to pull. That is Smith. Now, this guy does a good job at breaking off, getting downhill, and taking Haynes King. Haynes King sees it, and we get a nice completion to Chase Lane here. Again, really like this style of offense. I like it basically, like I said, when you have multiple outs and you don't have to audible, you don't have to waste time on that. I really like our offensive scheme as well, probably because it's similar to theirs. All right, so what's the first key to victory to winning Saturday? Key 1, stop the run, baby. Like I said, this is a very good player, and at least for the first half, Tulane was able to do it pretty well. So here they're going to run a sweep with him. You know, again, a lot of times they'll hand it up to him in an RPO or just straight hand it off to him, but they'll get him in space too. So they're going to pitch this. And to Tulane's credit, this linebacker does a really good job at filling this gap here, making a tackle on the ball carrier. Now, I don't know who's going to start at linebacker. I'm sure Ternelius Tatum will. He's a guy that's really athletic. I think he can make these plays. I would really like to see a lot of Braylon Oliver. I think Braylon Oliver is going to be the key to hemming in Judkins. So he comes across. And look at the angle he takes. This is a good angle by the linebacker. Notice how he doesn't come straight down, right, and take a bad angle and let him get outside. He comes flat, makes a good tackle. All right, now they'll also, it's 4th and 2. Now Lane likes to go for it on 4th down. They're in their own territory here. It's a tie ball game. Lane's a little bit of a risk taker on offense. Here they've got Judkins in the Wildcat. And this is where we're going to have to bow up on defense and just, can you stop? We know they're going to run it. You got to stop them. Here, to Ole Miss's credit, they end up picking up the first down. Judkins makes a good play. Now, not only are we going to have to stop Judkins on the run, like I said, Dart can run too. And this is another play that's going to look exactly the same as the little toss they did earlier. This isn't actually Judkins in here. Is he number 2? I'm not sure. I thought he was number 4. But look, let's take a look at this. That looks exactly the same, like he's going to pitch it, right? Nope, he'll keep it. And credit to this defensive end. He does a really good job of, again, feathering out and not getting caught out of position here. Makes a good play on the ball. Key 2, bring pressure and stunt, which means we're going to be in man. We'll probably be in man coverage, I would think, 80% of the time. You cannot let this guy sit back here and throw on you. We'll give up 600 yards of offense. So bring pressure. If you're not bringing pressure, do something to confuse them up front. We've struggled up front, so we're going to have to get creative. Sylvan Yanjuan is injured. So what we're going to see here, they don't actually bring pressure. They actually get pressure with their front four, which would be excellent if we were able to do that, especially against the offensive line that struggled a little bit this year. Our defensive line has struggled equally. So who is going to improve more into this game, or who's going to be able to be more effective? Initially, just looking at these two guys, this guy comes upfield, but he's going to break off and actually come back in up the middle. They're going to be able to get a good sack on the quarterback. Good play by Tulane. Let's take another look. Good play. All right. Now they're going to bring pressure. So I don't think they show pressure here. They don't. But look, they bring 6 here. They blitz both linebackers. They're playing way off the ball, which someone else doesn't like, but it ends up working out here. They get to the quarterback. Now here's the thing: when you blitz a lot, if you don't get to the quarterback, or if you whiff on a tackle and he ends up having time, there's a price to pay. So it's risky. I do think it's our best chance on defense, though, because even if you don't get to the quarterback, and this is something Nick Saban has said in the past, sacks can be kind of a deceptive stat. Because let's say, like against South Carolina State, we didn't have a single sack. But if the quarterback only has a second or two to throw, you're limiting what he's able to do, right? He's not able to throw the ball with a wide receiver more than 7 yards downfield. So that is affecting the quarterback, right? It's not going to show up in a stat sheet, but that is a win for your defense most of the time. And they get to him. They actually get to him out of the defensive end there. But, yeah, this is going to be important. Showing blitz and blitzing, disguising your blitzes, disguising your coverages. Now here, they straight up show a blitz. Again, they're going to bring 6. And you either got to really play tough man, which we're going to have to – our man-on-man coverage is going to have to be improved against Ole Miss, or – we're going to have to get some sacks, one of the two. Bring pressure. Now, they don't get to him here, but I wanted to show this for one reason. If the quarterback constantly has pressure in his face, a lot of times you get a little jittery. You get them out of rhythm, right? And that kind of affects everyone, where this guy should have caught the ball on the slant, but Tulane's been bringing a lot of pressure, so they might be playing a little bit tighter. That's what I'm talking about. Even if you don't get to the quarterback, you're affecting the quarterback when you're bringing pressure and blitzing. Now here is a very curious play. So key 3, take advantage of their defensive weaknesses. This is why I'm a bit surprised to see a line of 20. They're, from what I can tell in a cover 3, maybe they're more in, maybe they're not. Maybe I'm looking at this wrong. But they got 3 high. So you would think they all have deep thirds. But there were multiple people wide open on this touchdown. And he threw it to the least wide open guy, which is interesting. Ole Miss has some issues in their coverage. Now, they end up having 5 down here. I don't remember if they bring them all. Tulane's going to have 2 little dump-off routes, which I didn't mention that on one of the sacks. On one of the sacks, Jackson had to take the sack for Ole Miss because they didn't have any dump-off routes. He didn't have anyone to check it down to. All the routes were downfield. So basically, if they bring pressure, as long as they don't whiff on a tackle, like it's really a guaranteed sack. Now, the rest of their routes are going to be downfield routes. But in cover 3, you would think like all these thirds you shouldn't just have someone running wide open downfield. And again, this is their backup quarterback. Look how wide open this guy is. This is where he should have thrown the ball. He throws it here. It's a tad bit underthrown. But this cornerback's never able to get his head turned, gets beat, big touchdown. So Ole Miss can be gashed downfield in the air. And this is actually Mercer. I wanted to show this too, which we didn't talk about this. One of these guys is Jared Ivey. Such a grudge match for Georgia Tech with them taking Zamari Walton, Jared Ivey, Akilo Stone. This is like Jemias Griffin even ended up there. But I'll tell you what, it didn't help him on this play. And this is not a super athletic quarterback or anything. Now, because Ole Miss is, I'm sure they're going to bring a lot of pressure, you can use that against them. And it's kind of counterintuitive. If they're blitzing heavy, just stick your foot in the ground and get upfield, maybe with some design quarterback runs. Because they're putting so much pressure upfield, you can kind of split it and just run right into it. And now all of a sudden, you've only got a few people you got to beat, and you can get a big play going. So they fake the sweep here. Quarterback ends up keeping it. Look at this hole. Look at this hole. I mean, they just end up, number one, getting pushed around up front here, as well as being terribly out of position. And a quarterback's going to have, a huge 70-yard touchdown run here. So key 4, Haynes has got to make some plays with his legs. Haynes is going to have to escape some trouble with his legs. Haynes is going to have to take off and run and make plays with his legs. RPO plays with his legs. That's going to be important. I mean, look at this. Nobody. I mean, what was going on in the secondary? I mean, look how deep these safeties are. They just get blocked. Yeah, they're just out of position. So big touchdown for Mercer there. All right, and I broke this play down without video in a previous video. Going back to what Tech does well, and if Haynes has some time. So right here, and I hate that the camera was not pointed when the play started. That's a crime. But again, they're in a cover 1 look. And so Travion Cooley's going to run like a flat here. I forget who this is, but he's going to kind of run either just a go or a real skinny post. And then I think 2 is Dylan Leonard, right? He's going to run a seam. And really takes these 3 out of the play. The safety's going to bail deep so that he has this guy covered. He's going to come down concerned with Cooley. So these linebackers get sucked into all this action on the far side of the field. I'm not sure what. I think this is Blaylock runs down here. The point is he's locked up in man coverage with him. So we block it well. And then I think this is Malik Rutherford's going to run kind of a deep drag. Now, I know Tantor was saying that Haynes King holds the ball too long. I want you to take notice when he throws this ball here, though. So he does a good job recognizing the coverage. Look at all this space in this part of the field, though. And we have a good play called for what they're in. So he looks downfield. Look how quick this decision has to be made, too. Talking about how hard it is to play the quarterback position. Sees the coverage. Right here, I'm assuming he knows where he's going with the football. He needs to wait a second for the route to develop. and to see what this linebacker is going to do. All he's got to do is kind of float it right over his helmet for a big play. Right here. He starts the throw right here. Let me ask you something. Is Malik Rutherford open here? No. But look at the balance of the linebacker. There's no way he can stick his foot in the ground and redirect his momentum in time to make a play on the ball if the ball's thrown well. There we go. Again, look at when the ball's thrown. Big play. And this is what happens when you're able. This is why Jamal Haynes is going to be so important too, and Travion Cooley in developing the run. Once you gash them on the ground and they're worried about you running on them, then you can get these linebackers leaning. You can get these linebackers playing on their toes a little bit, and you can get them caught out of position. Again, when you watch it this time, I want you to look at the momentum and where his body weight is at linebacker. See, he's moving that way a little bit. Now all of a sudden he's got to stick his foot in the ground and try and redirect, and he can't get there in time. I mean, there's no timing issues with Haynes King in this team. So, with that being said, I don't buy into Ole Miss blowing us out. Ole Miss is not going to blow us out. Now, I predicted us to lose this game, and we could very well lose this game. But it's going to be tough playing. It's going to be in Oxford. It's going to be a night game. This is a winnable game for Georgia Tech. I know not a lot of people think so, but with the injuries Ole Miss has, and the problems that Ole Miss has on defense, and with how good Georgia Tech's offense looks this year, I mean, this game could be 48-43, something like that either way. We'll see. Can Georgia Tech win a shootout? If they get in one, can Georgia Tech make enough plays on defense? Can we catch Ole Miss looking ahead to two very tough SEC opponents? I don't know. I'll be there, guys. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you guys are having a great day, great afternoon, and I'll talk to you later.